Hey guys, Mrs. Tellison here. We're going to go ahead and start with our circle notes. Again, this is going to be review. Nothing new Monday and Tuesday, but this information is important when we are dealing with compound shapes, which is what we'll be talking about at the end of the week. Okay, so just to go over some basic vocab, all these notes will be posted online as well. But just so you are aware, um, my handwriting is a little crazy when I try to do this, so that is why. So a circle is just a round shape. It is a round shape. And there are no sides to that. The circumference is the distance around the circle. So some people like to call this the perimeter, but perimeter uses sides. But since there are no sides to a circle, we call that the circumference. It's the distance around. It's the distance around the circle. The diameter is the diameter is the distance from one side of your circle all the way through the midpoint and then connecting to the other side. So it's the distance across the circle. ACR through the midpoint. And again, I apologize for the writing on this. These are posted. And then our radius is the distance from the midpoint to the edge. So I'm going to write midpoint to the edge. So looking at this example, looking at our diagram below, we can see that this right here, the distance around the circle, we would consider that our circumference. This point right here, that is actually our, let me zoom into this. Let me zoom out a little bit. This point right here is actually our midpoint, the center point. Sorry, give me a second. So this is our midpoint right here. And then from the midpoint out to the edge, we call this our radius. And then when we start at one edge of the circle, going all the way down, this is our diameter. Again, basics and review. I'd like to. I don't know why it's not letting me zoom out on that now. Okay, there we go. Okay, zoom back in now to try to get the best way. So the diameter of the circle, if we look back up at our drawing, the diameter of the circle is twice or 2 times the radius here. So it is 2 times, let me get my pencil. 2 times its radius. The radius of the circle then is 1/2 of the diameter. So a good formula, that's just something easy to know and something that we should know. So now what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about the area of a circle. So there's 2 different formulas when we're talking about the area of the circle that we want to know, and that is area equals pi r squared. Now the idea of pi you may not remember what it is. It's a number that goes on forever. So it actually is like 3.14 and a whole bunch of other numbers. So we call that an irrational number. So again, going back to our number sense unit, pi is just an irrational number, meaning that it doesn't have an end. So the area of a circle can be found by taking pi, which is just 3.14, and then whatever our radius is, multiplying it by 2. So another way to write this is just pi, 3.14, times r times r. So you're just going to multiply pi by r twice. So the important thing to remember is that when we are dealing with area, you are using radius, not your diameter. So we are using that radius, not the diameter. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these examples. So again, using our image here, give me a circle, please. Thank you. So using our image here, if we were to label this, if this is my midpoint, this is my radius. I need my radius when I'm finding area, and this then is my diameter. And this is not necessarily the scale because that's not really a midpoint, but you get the idea. So the important thing here is this says find the radius or diameter of the circle with the given dimensions. So I'm finding the radius of each circle with the given dimensions. So if the diameter is 23, my radius is half of the diameter, which is going to be 11.5 centimeters. If my radius is 3, then my diameter is 6 inches. If my diameter is 16, the radius is half of that, which is going to be 8 yards, so on and so forth. So I don't want to spend too much more time on that, just understanding that that's how we convert from radius to diameter. Okay, now let's get into some fun things. Dealing with the area of a circle. So pi is an irrational number. Let me get that zoom function in now that I have. Now that I know how to do this. Okay, so pi is an irrational number, meaning that it goes on forever. Okay, which means that it continues on without a pattern. It's usually approximated to 3.14, which is the general rule of thumb when doing this, or its fraction form is 22 over 7. Its fraction form is 22 over 7. So again, the area of a circle, area is pi r squared, or pi times my radius times my radius. So let's take a look at some examples. Find the area of the circle. We're going to use 3.14. We're going to round to the nearest tenth. So here I'm given my radius. Again, radius is from midpoint out. So I'm just going to take, I always want to rewrite my formula. Area equals pi r squared. So my area equals 3.14 times my radius squared, which is going to be 2 squared, which makes my area here 12.56 inches squared, understanding that that is going to be inches squared here. Anytime you're dealing with area, remember it is always in squared units. It's always in squared units. Okay, now let's do the same thing using my radius of 10. So again, my formula is area equals pi r squared. So area for this one is 3.14 times 10 squared. And so my area for this is going to be 314 meters squared, 314 meters squared here. Now for my last one, I'm dealing with my I'm given diameter, but my formula for area always requires it to be given my radius. So if my diameter is 5 kilometers, that means that my radius here is going to be 2.5 kilometers. So 2.5 kilometers. That's the first thing that you need to do, that first conversion. You always need your radius. Always need radius. Okay, always need your radius here. So again, we're going to keep with our same formula. Area equals pi r squared. So we're going to do 3.14 times 2.5 squared. And again, we're dealing with kilometers. So my final answer here is going to be 19.625 kilometers squared. 19.625 kilometers squared. Now the second part of these notes, you're doing the same thing, but you're going to be using 22/7 for pi. So we're not going to spend the time doing that today, but just understand that you can use 22/7 for that as well. Okay, now circumference. Circumference, again, is the distance around, so area is the space in between, and circumference is the distance around our objects. So for circumference, I, again, like to come up with corny little sayings to help myself, so hopefully they help you. So the corny little saying that I come up with is see the pi. So you want to see the pi on this one. It makes it easier to remember that your diameter, to find your circumference, we see the pi. So circumference is equals see the pi. Okay? Or circumference can equal 2 radius pi. Usually you don't see it like that, but just understand that that you can. So for circumference, again, we're talking about the distance that is around the measurement, the distance around. It's also kind of like the perimeter of the circle, but we call it the circumference. So c to pi. So find the circumference. I'm not going to use 22/7, don't worry about that. We're going to use 3.14 just to make it easy, flat across the board. Now, if we were in class and we were able to explain it a little bit better, then that would be a time that we would use that. But we're just going to use 3.14 for our examples. So we're going to go ahead and c to pi. And notice I am given, remember that diameter goes from across all the way through the midpoint. So for A, I'm given that. So we're going to do 70 times 3.14. Times 3.14. And when you're dealing with circumference, it's important to understand that your circumference is in linear units. And I apologize, I don't have my calculator with me. So your answer here should be 219.8 for that one. And then you would do the same thing here. Here, this is 7/8. But instead of it being 7/8, I need it to run the entire length. So this is actually going to be 14/8, which will be my diameter, multiplied by 3.14. And I will get, again, let me pull it over here because I don't have that. Minus 3.14, 5.495 here. So this is going to be 5.495. And again, my units are linear. And I do not know why it stopped writing it. Okay. And again, my units are linear here. So we're going to hold off on answering some of these word problems because you'll see them in the next video. I hope that this helped understanding the difference between area and circumference. Thanks, guys. Bye.